Hey everybody, it is Friday afternoon and it is absolutely beautiful out here today. So before I get out on the kayak this afternoon, I thought we could take a little walk around the yard and do a little more appropriate yard tour. Last one we did was kind of abbreviated, didn't have a whole lot going on in the yard at the time, but lots more stuff blooming today, so let's get right into it. We got our roses up here. I can never remember what they're called. I always call them Martha Stewart or Martha Washington or something. They're one of those roses that have some name like that I can never remember. Honestly, the names of the different plants don't really matter all that much to me. They're just pretty for what they are. I'm not planning on breeding them or selling them or anything, so what their names are is not that important to me. Anyway, that rose is looking fantastic this year. Tiger lilies everywhere. They're going to be just crazy once they start blooming. Peonies are in full bloom right now. Our foxglove are blooming like crazy. You can see the white foxglove up here. We have these little sort of natural daisies. We got a bunch more of those up there that we'll be seeing. So we kind of let those daisies do their thing. They're always really pretty. They sort of naturalistic look here in the garden. Lots and lots of coneflower and rudbeckia, which is Maryland state flowers, coming up. Loads of fern. Can't think of what this stuff is called now. Some kind of stone crop. It's a succulent, but it's blooming right now. Probably going to wind up getting some of that around the pond, which we'll be looking at in just a moment. You can see more of it blooming, growing in all around the rocks down here. Got all the foxglove blooming right here. Going to have a bumper crop of blueberries this year on that blueberry bush right there. We got a couple blueberry bushes. Another foxglove. We got a bunch of iris. The iris were already done. We do have these. I don't know if they're flag lily or Siberian iris, but we have these yellow ones. We got a bunch of these around the yard in different spots, so we'll be seeing more of them as we go. The pond, we still have a ways to go as far as dressing it up and getting it decorated, but I did go out and I bought a umbrella to put over it. Not that one, that one. But unfortunately, that one was so big and you put it next to it and it only wound up covering half of the pond. And so what I really wanted was just something small that would simply cover the pond itself and provide the fish with some shade and some cover, give them a little bit of security. And it turns out we actually had that beach umbrella down in the basement, so I wound up buying this big monstrosity for nothing. So we now have a spare shade umbrella for being out here in the yard. So the pond's still looking good. The fish are still in there doing really well. We'll come down here and sort of duck in under the umbrella a little bit. This is part of a house plant. That's begonia. Got broken off, so I just threw it in there to allow it to start rooting in. And I've already noticed the fish are sort of swimming around, hiding underneath of it. So I really need to get some more floating plants and some more cover in here for the fish. I'm going to be finding some woodwork, maybe a rock or something to go in there for some visual appeal. It's not just going to be a sandy bottom like that. I'll definitely have more stuff going on. And then of course around the sides we'll get more plants put in. We'll get more rocks put in to eventually start covering up that black liner. You won't get to see that as much. So still got a ways to go to get it fully complete and kitted out and dressed up and all that. But functionally it is done and intact and it's fully running. I got the line wired in underground and everything, and so it's good to go. My wife's been working on her planters, so we'll see a few of those as we start making our way around. In fact, we can start making our way around now. Up here on the hill, we'll have a look at that in a minute, but we can see we got some planters here. Got a few planters over here. That is the tank from my experimental deep sand bed. I finally got that broken down and cleaned out and brought outside. So I finally have that room opened up in my basement again. So these are just a few of the other planters. We're still in the process of getting them put together, put where they're going to live, so on and so forth. So the hill up here we used to cut, and we are basically going to let it start getting overgrown with deliberate stuff. We're planting stuff on it to cover it up. I'm tired of having to mow this stupid hill. It's hard to tell, but this is a fairly steep hill right here. So I'm going to keep one track where I can come out here and down, and that'll give us a path to walk through up there. I'm going to mow through there. But right now, I don't know if you can tell, we got all these white flowers. It's all those daisies, those wild daisies I was talking about. They grow through there, and I like to leave them alone until they're done flowering. So once they're done flowering, I'll start mowing down through there. So we have all this fern and this green hosta that just spreads like crazy. crazy. So that's kind of helping us out. My wife hates this green hosta here. I like it, but it really does just grow like crazy. So we're, you know, whenever we need to open it up to, say, plant some phlox or some foxglove or something, we just rip a big chunk of it out, open up a hole, and stick a new plant in it. You can see we got some stuff going on here and here. We got some different ferns growing here and there. So the phlox will be coming up soon. We'll have some splashes of color in there as the phlox start blooming. You can see we do have the foxglove. Actually have some pansies from last year that are still blooming, and of course you can see all that grass and everything. Again, I need to make my way down through there. So that is pretty much what's going on with the back hill there. And if we come over here, looks like petunias are in this used to be a display stand at a store, but it is now a planter, tiered planter that my wife made. And of course we got so many of these. These are all those tiger lilies. We have those everywhere. They're prolific breeders. If you look at them, you see these little black dots at every single internodal junction where there's a leaf. You see one of those black dots. Those are bulbs. They'll swell up to get about yay big, and then they drop off, and it's a bulb. It's a new plant. So one tiger lily will give me literally dozens and dozens, maybe even 100 or more bulbs off of one tiger lily. And of course I have those all over the yard by now, and so I get thousands of those falling everywhere. So I try to collect up as many as I can. I give them away to people. If you're interested, email me when they're ready. I can send them to you. All I'll charge is some shipping cost, a few dollars or whatever, and you can have tiger lilies, but they're not ready yet. It'll be another few weeks before we get those out. There's a couple more planters. This is a cool planter in itself, is that fish planter. And I'll have to try to remember to put my email down below in the comment section. I forgot. I'm thinking we're on my fish keeping channel, which has all my information just permanently defaulted on the uploads. It's just my email and everything is always there, but this is my outdoors channel, and I don't have all that stuff down there. So if you don't see my email, check out my other channel and you can find my email. It's danielheitshoe@gmail.com. And again, contact me. I got all kinds of plants and stuff if you're interested. So peonies are looking good. They're pretty much kind of passing their prime. I really should have been out here a day or two ago, but we've had some rainy weather. We kind of missed the peonies. I mean, we didn't. We got some of them cut and brought in the house and everything, but for video purposes, we sort of missed the peonies a little bit. Allium in here are looking really good. These are looking like little tiny fireworks displays going off. I love those things. Really cool looking little plants. So those are actually an onion, basically. That's what the flower looks like. We're starting to get some bulbs on this one already. That's another one of those tiger lilies coming up. They're actually starting to get the flower. I said bulbs and started flower heads on them. We also have Rose of Sharon. I've got millions of Rose of Sharon. They are prolific seeders, and they come up everywhere. I literally have hundreds of those. So if anybody's interested in any of those too, I can do seedlings of Rose of Sharon and get them shipped off to you. So lots and lots of daylilies through here. We still got a ways to go before the daylilies start blooming. By late June, this yard is really, really colorful. We had a lot of stuff going on. So we got all that to look forward to. We got some rudbeckia in there. We got more of that. Tiger lily. Again, we got that stuff everywhere. There's a big hydrangea down there. We had a rough start this spring. Kept getting these cold snaps, so every time everything would start coming out, it would get cold, and so everything got hit kind of hard, and we're waiting to see how well the hydrangeas recover. We had a few other things that got hit kind of hard. We'll have to wait to see how well they do this year. So those are some caladiums. That's a clematis. That's my kayak already loaded up into my truck. Calling my name over there. Tiger lilies everywhere. Hydrangea Tree. These are new. We just got these last fall on clearance when Home Depot was getting rid of their stuff. We're going to get this branch out of there. We're actually going to use it to try to see if we can make any cuttings off of this piece, and then we're going to lop that off so we get a more rounded effect. And then that one. So those are two new ones to us. Those are hydrangea trees, so they should be interesting. We're not going to go down the driveway today. There's loads of hostas and fern and all sorts of different stuff down there on both sides, and of course the front hill is all just sort of wooded area where there's, you know, I think of that as just no man's land. That's what we think of as the front hill. And it's, again, our property line is over there and goes all the way down to the street, and so all this front hill down there, you know, down to the street is ours, but it's just woods basically. Looks like a kayak dealership. I got my old one right there. I got the one that's in my truck ready to go, and then I got my big fishing kayak is over there on its stand. More of those flag lily back here. See those those yellow flag lilies? I don't know where red came from. This is a Cuba back here. This is a butterfly bush, more daylilies, more hosta. This is all rudbeckia. There might be some coneflower mixed in there, but that looks like it's all going to be rudbeckia or black-eyed Susan. It's the Maryland state flower. I'd never in my life, I'd always called it black-eyed Susan my whole life, and I'd never thought about that term as being anything other than just the name of the flower. And then I'd mentioned that in a video one day, and somebody who'd never heard of that flower before just thought the name black-eyed Susan sounded terrible. They were just so offended by it. It sounded like domestic violence to them, and I thought, you know what, that is never even thought about it like that. It never crossed my mind that black-eyed Susan is maybe not the best name for a flower, and so I do my best now simply to call it rudbeckia. So that's what that is. That's what you see, all these big sort of broad, almost looks like a weed, but that is rudbeckia. That is the Maryland state flower, and that will be coming up and blooming here pretty soon. Our purple clematis right here is blooming. That's looking pretty good. This euonymus, this is sort of like an evergreen bush, except this one's sort of variegated and mostly yellow, but it stays vibrant all year. More hosta. This is the other side of that Akuba. I actually got that from a customer. I was spraying for deer. They were just getting deer damage, and no matter what we did to this stuff, the deer were just munching on it. And so eventually they gave up and they dug it up and planted something different there, and they said, do you want it? I said, sure, I'll take it. And so that's what it looks like now. So I'm really glad I took those little munched up remains home. They turned out to be quite a nice little addition to our yard. So these little beds, we have these little sort of spot beds all around the place. These were like this when we moved in. Well, the hosta was here when we moved in. The fact that the beds existed when we moved in, we've done a lot to them since they've been here. But these were where trees used to be. These are all around old remains of tree stumps that have since rotted away, and now they're basically these little small garden beds we have around the yard. So again, lots of foxglove, lots of iris, hosta. This is a new tree my wife got last year. I'm not even sure what this kind of tree is, but it's doing really well. She got it from a friend of hers, and it's taken off and doing really well. So again, more foxglove. Really love the foxglove. The proper name for foxglove is digitalis. I do know that. So the foxglove is digitalis, if you're not familiar with it by the name of foxglove. Most people, I think, are. All right, that stupid morning glory vine fell over. I'm going to leave it there. I hate that thing. You can see here these tiger lilies got chomped down. That's deer damage. So even though I spray deer repellent for a living, I do still get some deer damage here. You can see this is all deer damage around here. I have since been out and sprayed, and I don't think we've gotten any damage since I sprayed, but I did spray. And of course, this was our beautiful white hostas. Now this is all just the dead, you know, the remains of nothing's wrong with it. That's just part of the process, what it does every year. More of these flag lily. We'll get a little closer look at them now. You can see how pretty they really are. Interesting little flower. So these are the ones that I keep pointing to when I go out to the reservoir, and I say, you know, I could go out there and I could collect some of these and bring them back to the house. I have them. I don't need to go out there and dig any up. I would be doing that just for the sake of doing it. I got them right here. I can just dig them up in the yard. So again, just some sort of hostas and stuff around here and there. We got a big old patch of daylilies and a big clump right down there, and now we're going to start moving along the top side of those beds. Another one of those former tree stump beds. Not a ton going on around here. Flag lily, Siberian iris, whatever that is, hosta. This is the remains of my fern garden. I spent a lot of time making this into a garden. I used to have paths, and there's still walkways and stuff if I went in there and cleared it. There's a bench back there. I had a fire pit, and all of it is just this fern. Very, very few flowering plants. I kept it very primordial looking. It's a lot of hostas and a lot of ferns, and that's about it back there. And it goes way back. The fence is up there, is where the top side of our property line is. And so I don't know, it's just gotten overgrown. We're trying to have less and less to do with the yard, not more and more. But you can see how much fern we have growing up in there, and this whole area used to all be the fern garden. I used to light candles up in there at night and have a fire and sit out there. Really, really cool. But that's when I was younger and a lot more enthusiastic about doing stuff out in the yard and coming out here and spending time. So honeysuckle bushes, we were supposed to cut them down, but they grew back. Well, I did cut them down, but I left the stumps, and then they grew back from the stumps. More of those flag lilies or whatever they are. All these little Rose of Sharon bushes everywhere. I have so many of those Rose of Sharons. So we can just kind of move along again. Oh, just a lot of hostas and stuff. Have some variety up here on the corner. Another hydrangea, again, Rose of Sharons. I got Rose of Sharons everywhere. They pretty much bordered the property when we moved out here 20 years ago, and it's an endless supply of free seeds, and so we now have Rose of Sharons pretty much everywhere. None of these hostas have actually been planted by us. I used to mow this whole area. This used to be yard at some point, but slowly but surely the hostas, just from seeds, started taking over. And so a lot of it is that green hosta that my wife doesn't like, but a lot of it is also this bluer hosta with the round leaves on it. Got a lot of that in there. And so now it's just kind of a hosta-y area, and we can use it as a nursery. We can dig any hosta out of there if we want to move them or put them somewhere. Of course, again, this green hosta we have so much of, it's not out of the question that I may literally just mow through here by the end of the summer. Maybe I'll pull a few of these larger green ones out, maybe some of these, and then the rest of it's just probably going to get mowed over. Believe it or not. Another little hydrangea. My wife just divided up some hydrangeas last year and moved them around, so there's a bunch of different hydrangeas in a lot of different places now this season. Bought that Japanese maple 18 years ago, and it looks like that. See, that's something like that is what I was envisioning over top my goldfish pond. But again, that's taken almost 20 years for it to grow in. Actually, it has been 20 years because it was a 2-year-old sapling when I bought it. And I bought it about 18 years ago, so that tree is about 20 years old now. So probably not going to wait for that to grow in over top of the pond. Maybe we'll get something that's a little faster growing or something that's already a little more established. So moving on around the top side, we've got bamboo coming up everywhere. When I moved out here years ago, I wanted a sort of privacy along the back fence. I made the mistake of planting bamboo, and so we got all the bamboo is up there and everything. So, and then down here you can still just see right through it. So we have bamboo come up everywhere. It's just awful. You can see I've been out here breaking some of the new shoots down. If you break them down when they're still young and tender, you're fine. This is a new shoot coming out right there. This is already getting a little bit big to break off. See, it's going to break way above the ground, but it grows from the top. So if you break it, then it's just, that's it. That's not going to grow anymore. That'll just stay a stump. And so what I do is I walk around the yard, and you can see these little tips. As I see it start to come up, I just walk around and break them over and kick them down and keep it out of the yard. And so it stays back where it's supposed to be for the most part. And we keep all the bamboo back in the corners. Well, some of it leans out into the yard occasionally. I think I tried to knock that piece down and it didn't fall. Bamboo is some really, really strong stuff. Oh, look, there's another shoot coming up in the yard that I missed. This one's already hardened up a little bit, so it's probably, yeah, it's not gonna, well, broke close enough to the ground. So you got to watch it when you walk around my yard. There's all these little stumps where it's, you know, like that much bamboo sticking up out of the ground in different places. You trip over them. So anyway, we haven't even gotten to the good garden yet. My wife has been doing a ton of work over here, but down at the far end so far this year, I don't even know where to start with this garden. We have so much stuff in here that I guess we can go start around the other side. A lot of hostas. This is burning bush. We've got this dogwood here that was just growing there. I want to say viburnum, that's new. We just planted that there. Looks like my wife just planted that in this tree stump. It's asparagus fern, I believe, or something very similar. I'm not sure about that. I think that's what it is. When that tree fell down, I decided to leave most of it there, or leave the stump there, and we use it sort of as a planter. I put some fern and stuff in there last year, and it looks like it's coming back. So we're going to let that get grown in. That'll look pretty cool. I'd like to have that in one of my aquariums. Oh, let's see, we got a lot of coral bells in here, Columbine, goat's beard, let's see, we got Astilbe and goat's beard. The Astilbe and goat's beard look really similar. I think the main difference is the Astilbe has much more compact flowers, and the goat's beard has all these sort of long, kind of spindly flowers. But the plant itself looks very similar. Between the Astilbe and the goat's beard, and then that's the coral bell too. These are I can't remember what they're called, but these are not coral bell. These are something else. This is where I start losing track of everything that we've got over here. We've got about 15 different types of fern, and we've got probably 15 different types of hosta. We have more different Astilbe and coral bell than I can remember. See, these are all Astilbe. These are different types of ferns through here. Got more ferns, Astilbes, hostas, different types of hostas. A lot of it's just the hostas you see from around the yard. You know, these green ones and these bright green ones. We got lots of those everywhere. But we also have a lot of interesting different hostas around here. One of these is called Captain Kirk, and the other one, which I do not even see now, is it gone? We had Captain Kirk, and I think the Enterprise was the name of the other one. It was something like that. It was very Star Trek themed, but they were both beautiful hostas, and so we had them side by side. And now I'm not seeing where that other one is, because this green one certainly isn't it. You coming to help? You wanna come walk with us? You wanna show everybody how cute you are? You wanna say hi? That's Squeaker, by the way. You gonna say hi? Meow. You gonna say hi? You know what he's gonna do after he does all this? He's gonna go inside and he's gonna go get on my side of the bed. Damn dirty cat. So anyway, hey everybody, look, it's me. More hostas, all that kind of stuff. This is where it sort of starts fading into unkempt. Got an old busted table back there and pieces of broken wood and tree stump, and so again we're getting onto the sort of unkempt side of the edge of the garden over there. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. Oh yeah, that was a great watch. keep watching out. Come on. There you go. So once we get down here, boy, he really wants to get in that spot, doesn't he? Again, hostas and patience growing out of the tree stump here. More Astilbe, more hosta. These are different types of hostas. Again, I don't know the name of these hostas, don't know the name of this hosta. We got a really cool looking hosta right here. I absolutely love this one. If you look at it really close, the patterning almost looks like brush strokes from a paintbrush. Really, really pretty hosta. I love this one. I guess that's probably ghost fern. Looks like ghost fern. So this is my pride and joy. We planted this last year too. This is an oak leaf hydrangea. I've been desperately hoping the deer don't damage this one. I've been spraying it, and so far so good. We did get some damage when we first put it in, but since we've been treating it, we haven't had any issues with it. So that's something I'm excited about. This is another hosta I wanted to show you. I had to get really close and personal so you could even see it to know what I was talking about when I mentioned hosta. Something like that is probably not what comes to mind. But that is one of our more interesting hosta. Cannot remember what that one's called. I want to say it's called Praying Hands. I know the Praying Hands looks really similar to this, but I'm not 100% sure if this is actually the Praying Hands hosta, but it might be. And we'll work our way down that way in a minute. Oh, you're going to come down and roll around in that pile of dirt now? Is that what you're going to do? Is that what you're going to do? Meow, meow, meow. Okay. I'm busy. So, once we start getting into this corner of the bed, again, we start looking at, we got some Japanese painted fern, more stilbe, more hosta. We get into some different kind of hosta here. This is a little more interesting than your garden variety hosta. More stilbe, some more Japanese painted fern, more stilbe. But now we're starting to get into where all our little micro hostas are. That's hosta, this is hosta. I don't know if that's a micro hosta or not, but that's a hosta. This is a really pretty green variegated one. I like that hosta there. And then when we get down here, this whole bed, watch out. This whole bed is all little micro hostas. Oh look, we got a little flower head on this one already. That's a little flower spike. So that gives you an idea. That's full grown. That's flower spike and all. That's as big as it gets. I think some of these are mouse ears. I know we have green mouse ears. I know we have blue mouse ears. And there's just a bunch of different little tiny micro hostas. I love these little ones up here. These are really cool. This is another one of those. I want to say that's the Praying Hands. Yeah, what are you doing? Gonna say hi? You're not gonna say hi? He's not gonna say hi. That's another one that looks like those Praying Hands. All right. Good grief, he's not going to say hi, but he's going to shove his hand into mine while I'm trying to video. This is a cool hosta too. This one's called Whee! And that is actually its name. It's capital letters W-H-E-E-E with an exclamation point. So, that is cool hosta. I really like that one. More Japanese painted fern, more stilbe. I'm not sure what that is. This is a different hosta, but it's still got that very squiggly, textured looking leaf to it. I like that one in there. We got this one. This is another micro hosta. You can see that's the flower head right there on that. Beautiful autumn fern right here. That's coming in nicely. I don't know what this is. This is some kind of, I want to say it's a Korean fern or something. I know we have a couple different Korean ferns. Here's another hosta that's got those sort of curly edged leaves. Lots more stilbe, regular hosta. We have this hosta, which I really enjoy. Here's more of that. Creeping Jenny. We got lots of Creeping Jenny. That's going to make its way around the pond here pretty soon. This is another pretty hosta here, this variegated one. And more stilbe, and this is it's actually a it's a turtle, believe it or not, with a thing on its back, so we can set a planter on it. So we need to sort of unbury the turtle so you can actually see the planter stand, and just more hostas and all that kind of stuff. So let's move on down past the Frog King here and have a look at what my wife has been doing. Well, one thing she's been doing apparently is leaving her glasses out in the yard. I'm sure she did not mean to do that. So this is all new. Cleared the area out, threw a bunch of old wood around, made a new sort of bed, put some stuff around the corners. And I know a lot of this stuff has gone in since last year. A lot of these azaleas that are already done and past their flowering stage for the year, they're new. We put them in also from the Home Depot. Got them on clearance last year. And we're getting kind of into no man's land again once we get down here. So right here I have a little sort of path that leads over to the fence, and that's where I communicate with my friend next door. We even have a little mailbox there, so when we need to drop stuff off to each other, we can just stick it in the mailbox and we don't have to actually interact with each other. We can just send a text saying go check the mailbox, and there they go. They got something out in the mail for them. So down here again is just sort of no man's land. It's just kind of wooded, and it goes down there I don't know, 60-70 feet or whatever, and you get to the road, and then of course our driveway runs up through there. So coming around here, got my fire barrel, got our planter's bench, potter's bench, whatever you want to call that. So looks like my wife's still got lots of stuff that she's still working on. All kinds of good stuff. We put some wildflower seeds. We scattered them down there, so we're hoping we can see some wildflowers coming in down there. This is sort of a weird little sort of notch in the yard that goes down towards the street, but again, our driveway comes in and goes right up along behind that line of trees right there. So no sense really walking around there. There's a couple of little miscellaneous planters on the front porch, but not a whole lot to look at. This will be exciting. This is a little toy wheelbarrow my wife uses as a mobile planter, and she puts Lady in Red salvia in here every year, and it looks like a giant fireworks display by midsummer, and we can move it around the yard wherever we want it because it's on wheels. So that's a fun little planter that we've got. Not a whole lot to talk about. Look who's moseying his way on over here. In your own time, old man. Whenever you're ready. Same basic kind of stuff you see around the rest of the yard. Hosta, tiger lily, daylily, euonymus. We got some sedum. I failed to point this out in a few different places. We got some sedum. In fact, that yellow stuff in the beginning of the video that I was talking about, that I said I called it stone crop, that's sedum. You could probably call it stone crop, but it is a type of sedum. That's what I was thinking of. So this is, I haven't actually been up here looking down on my pond yet. So that's what it's looked like from up on top of the hill looking down. Nice. I like the view. Of course, that umbrella is temporary. That's only going to be there until some of the plants grow in, and then the umbrella will be getting out of there. So just wanted to have a little bit of a look at this tiered garden. I know we kind of walked around the top side already, but I also wanted to point out that this would be where the little path would be. This is where I'd run the lawnmower through, and so you can kind of see right now it's all looking rather pretty with all the little pretty daisy flowers everywhere. So it's not gonna be long before I'm riding my lawn tractor right through here. And yep, we're gonna come right over all these hostas. And once I come out the end, we'll be back down here. And I will re-point out. This is what I was talking about. That's sedum. That's a type of sedum. And so eventually we're going to work some of that in to some of the stonework around the pond right here. So there you go, everybody. That was a good full yard tour. You got to see most of everything. I didn't show you everything everywhere, but you certainly got a pretty good look at what we've got going on so far. And make sure you're subscribed and ring that bell and all that good stuff. That way, as the flowers progress and the summer progresses and we see more and more stuff starting to bloom, you'll be getting more yard tours and, you know, so on and so forth. So look forward to that. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you real soon on the next one.